The Mortgage Playbook for Millennials. Know the rules before you play the game. Written by Jeff Van Note, the mortgage quarterback. Chapter 15. Real Estate Appraisals Explained by Mike Conte of Nationwide Property and Appraisal Services. In today's lending environment, there are three key components that determine a borrower's eligibility for securing a mortgage. They are credit, income, and assets. The home that you own or wish to buy is the biggest asset in a mortgage transaction. It is the collateral that lending institutions rely on to mitigate risk while providing a borrower the money they need for a purchase or refinance. Mortgages can range from a few $1,000s into tens of millions. With that kind of money on the line, it is important to understand how a property's value is determined. There are three approaches a real estate appraisal will use when accessing market value. They are sales comparison, income, and cost approach. Each approach will conclude what a home is worth based on a different set of underlying factors. The cost approach is a real estate valuation method that surmises that the price a buyer should pay for a piece of property should equal the cost to build an equivalent building. In a cost approach appraisal, the market price for the property is equal to the cost of land plus cost of construction less depreciation. The income approach is a real estate appraisal method that allows investors to estimate the value of a property by taking the net operating income of the rent collected and dividing it by the capitalization rate. The sales comparison approach compares recently sold local similar properties to the subject property. Price adjustments are made for differences in the comparable and subject property. When it comes to financing a residential property intended as a primary residence, the sales comparison approach is king. All lending decisions will be based on this number. So how exactly does a bank determine this value? It starts with the real estate appraiser. A real estate appraiser is a specifically licensed and trained individual whose sole job is to determine the value of residential and commercial real estate. There are independent neutral third party that acts as the eyes and ears for the bank. Because they have no vested interest in the property, banks rely heavily on their opinion. Their on-site inspection and local market expertise will shape the very foundation of your mortgage financing. A high or low value can impact the amount of money you can borrow and the interest rate you will be charged. Right now, you should be asking yourself, what can I do to improve the value of my home and secure the best available financing? Let's start with the basics. Tidy up. It amazes me to no end how appraisal reports I have seen where the home is completely disarray. Dirty laundry on the floor in bed, dishes stacked, ceiling high in the sink, shrubs and lawn completely overgrown. The list goes on and on. There is no excuse for any of this, and if you think for 1 minute the appraiser's opinion of your home is not adversely affected by this mess, you are sorely mistaken. The same reason realtors spend thousands of dollars staging a new listing should be the same reason why you tidy up your home to attract top dollar. Pretend your relatives are coming over for Thanksgiving dinner and get your home looking at its best. Best of all, it's completely free to do. Just requires a little elbow grease. Next step. Tackle all the deferred maintenance. Deferred maintenance is a term appraiser used to address items that are incomplete or long overdue for some attention. Think of your car. Every 3,000 miles you need to change the oil. If you haven't changed the oil in 10,000 miles, your car isn't going to run right and its value is going to drop. Same thing with your house. The biggest culprit in regards to deferred maintenance is interior and exterior paint. Painted surfaces need to be repainted over the years to keep them looking their best and to help protect the integrity of the underlying materials. Other deferred maintenance can include resurfacing a driveway, power washing a shed, steam cleaning old carpets, or staining a wood deck. Odds are you already knew which handyman projects require your attention. What better motivation to get them done than to save money on your mortgage? By tackling these two steps, you can increase the value of your home and eliminate the need for any secondary inspections. A final inspection may be necessary if an appraiser finds items that would prevent a home from meeting Fannie Mae or FHA guidelines. These items would need to be remedied, and then a second inspection would be required to show the requested work has been completed. A time-wasting hassle for sure, but an expensive one, as each final inspection will cost you $150 to $250. Even if your home is clean with no signs of deferred maintenance, you may still face final inspections for other various reasons. To beat the odds and avoid a final inspection includes the following checklist below. Have smoke and carbon detectors installed and in working order. All utilities should be on, including water, electric, and gas, if the home has gas. HVAC systems and kitchen appliances should all be functioning properly. Depending on your state, typically those prone to earthquakes like California, your hot water heater needs to be double strapped. There should be no signs of active remodeling like a half-finished bathroom, etc. This home should be in one piece and fully functional. Make all rooms of the home accessible for the appraiser, including attics, basement, crawl spaces, sheds, and garages. We've all watched shows on HGTV like Flip or Flop and Property Brothers, where savvy real estate investors turn neglected homes into works of art and make a nice profit along the way. Besides tidying up and addressing signs of deferred maintenance, nothing increases a home's worth like remodeling can. Money spent on kitchens and bathrooms can go a long way to improve a home's value. So can new floors, windows, roofing, siding, HVAC, and landscaping. These options are more expensive and are time-consuming, but could make or break a purchase or refinance transaction. Now that your home is looking good and you've taken all the necessary steps to avoid a final inspection, it's time for the appraiser to come do his inspection. If you followed my advice, this process should be nothing more than a formality. The appraiser will walk around the entire property and take lots of measurements and photographs to properly document the home. Once this is done, we return back to the sales comparison approach we discussed above. The appraiser is going to formulate an opinion of value based on available data and local market expertise. The best source of data comes from the recently sold homes in the immediate market area, commonly referred to as comps. These are your comparable sales that give the best indication of what your home is worth. This process can be more complicated than one might think, since most neighborhoods have all different styles of homes with various differences in amenities such as lot size, bedroom, and bathroom, count, age, gross living area, garages, basements, fireplaces, pools, decks, and most importantly, condition. Adjustments need to be made for all these amenities line by line. Very rarely will an appraiser be able to make an apples-to-apples comparison from one home to another. With so many variables to consider, there is typically some adjustments that need to take place. Once an appraiser has found at least 3 suitable comps, they will formulate an opinion of value after each property has been properly adjusted. They will bracket their value using those sales. For example, if comps 1, 2, and 3 sold for $340, $352, and $365, respectively, after adjustments, you should expect your sales comparison approach value to fall somewhere between $340 and $365,000. The final determination will depend on which sales are given the most weight. Typically, the sales that are the most recent with the least adjustments that are closest in proximity will have the greatest impact. Now that you understand what an appraisal is and how it works into your mortgage application, let's apply this knowledge to the real world, specifically a purchase transaction. A purchase can't occur until a property owner decides they want to sell their home. Whatever their motivation of selling might be, you can bet securing a high sales price is a top priority. This is where having the right team comes into play for a seller and means partnering with the right listing agent. Deciding on the right listing agent can be a daunting task. They'll be managing every aspect of the sale from start to finish. Needless to say, this is a major responsibility and one that comes with a huge financial impact. Beware of realtors promising numbers that are too good to be true. The right realtor will be very familiar with the appraisal process and be able to lay out a factual representation of what your home should sell for. Listing your home for sale well above those numbers is a recipe for disaster because one of two things will happen. 1. Your home will sit on the market untouched. It will be ignored by realtors and prospective buyers alike, and if nobody is walking in the door to look at your home, your chances of a sale are 0. Maybe you're not in a rush to sell, but this approach still has consequences. Once you reprice the home lower to attract more attention, people will still notice how long it has been sitting on the market. The longer the property has sat on the MLS, which is called the Multiple Listing Service, the more buyers start to think, why is this home still listed for sale? Something must be wrong with it. The second thing that might happen is if you list it too high, it can be emotionally so much more painful. Let's just say by some miracle you actually attract a buyer to purchase your overpriced home. You may be thinking, well, look at me, I'm a genius. I'm going to make a fortune selling my house. Haha, not so fast, my friend. Remember, the home appraisal we talked about, it's back. Your buyer is going to need to secure a mortgage unless they have all cash to buy the home outright. Regardless of this purchase price, you and the buyer agreed upon, the bank is only going to lend on what the home appraises for. Remember, the home is the collateral the bank secures their money to. If the mortgage holder stops making their payments, the bank will repossess the house, and the only way they're going to get the money back is by selling the home to a new buyer at fair market value. Just because your buyer was willing to overpay doesn't mean anyone else will, and the bank knows this. They will cap the purchase price based on the sales comparison approach. You will have to either renegotiate the purchase price based on the appraisal or convince the buyers to cover the overage with cash. The bank will certainly allow you to overpay, but it will be with your money, not theirs. This scenario rarely has a happy ending. Once buyers see they're overpaying, they will seldom be willing to continue through with the transaction at the original agreed upon price. Both parties have seen their hopes crushed while wasting a lot of time and money along the way. And for what? A well-trained listing agent would have seen this coming and steered you away from this mistake before the home ever hit the market. Regardless if you're a buyer or seller, make sure your realtor understands the appraisal process and has the factual data from step one to negotiate the proper sale price. The bank and home appraiser will not be fooled, and neither should you. A refinance works much the same way, except now you already own the home. No realtors are involved. It's only you and your loan officer. If you thought choosing the right realtor was important, it pales in comparison with working with the right loan officer. A savvy and well-educated loan officer is critical for securing the best mortgage terms and, more importantly, actually getting the loan closed. As someone who has closed tens of millions of dollars in mortgages prior to my career in appraisal management, I can tell you with complete confidence that the right loan officer makes all the difference. There are pitfalls around every corner, the appraisal process certainly being one of them. An experienced loan officer will see these coming and avoid them at all costs. There are hundreds of loan programs, each with their own underwriting guidelines. Knowing the ins and outs of each program takes intelligence, time, and expertise. A truly great loan officer will discuss and educate you every step of the way. The Mortgage Playbook for Millennials. Know the rules before you play the game. Pick your copy up on Amazon.com today.